Okay, what a great surprise we had today. That Nintendo Direct was definitely one of the best Switch Directs ever. Great way for them to go out with a bang, but it gave us a surprise trailer for Pokemon Legends EA. I actually did think that there would be a trailer in today's Direct after the announcement from yesterday, and I'm so happy I was right because this trailer was awesome. And not only did I love all the cool gameplay reveals in it, but I also want to point out just how good this game looks visually. Like, you can definitely tell the build for this footage looks better than the build that we saw in the last trailer. It's a lot of subtle stuff, so I'll have to look more into it soon before assessing exactly what it was that made it look so much better, aside from the obvious cleaned up textures. But dude, let me just take this moment to gush real quick about how fun and visually appealing ZA looks at this moment in time. Like, yeah, I'd still prefer a cel-shaded art style for a Pokemon game, but with this one going for an exposed look, it looks pretty clean. There really isn't much of anything to complain about here if you ask me. Okay, enough about my impressions. Let's get to the crux of this video. And that's all the hidden details you guys missed that I've found for you. Some of these are subtle, others are huge revelations, so let's not waste any time and get started. The first detail I noticed in this trailer was there was one extremely quick shot that revealed we'll be having indoor battles. Here you can see us battling alongside our Meowstic in what looks to be a small storage room. It's the only shot in all three trailers we have of battling indoors, and yeah, while this battle takes place indoors, I'm glad we'll be having such an open experience here in the setting of a city. We'll be battling in parks, on streets, on rooftops, and now even inside enclosed spaces. I love it. It really completes how this game seems to be thinning the line between exploration and overworld traversal and battles more than any Pokemon game before. This next detail, though, comes from this scene of us running through the flock of wild Pidgey in the street market. It confirms that flying Pokemon will once again transition back and forth between being landborne and airborne. This was a feature only seen in Scarlet and Violet until now, so it's nice to see it return here for ZA. I'd like to also point out that the trainer retains his locked eyesight with the wild Pidgey. This is a returning feature from Legends Arceus, where Pokemon, trainers, and the players all locked eyes with each other even when moving around. It's subtle for most people, but it goes a long way to subconsciously boost immersion for the player. This next scene gives us a closer look at how the player uses the Rotom phone to glide between buildings. The coolest thing revealed here is how we see her actively push herself off from her phone towards the end to give an extra boost in momentum and free her hands up for her landing in case she needs them. Okay, so this means our trainer is one of the most badass trainers in any form of the medium, and honestly, this makes me even more confident that these trainers we play as are the protagonists from Johto. If you've read the Pokemon manga, Gold, also known as Ethan, who was the protagonist from Johto, is constantly distinguished from the other protagonists for his ability to do stunts like this. He's known to be more agile and resourceful than the other mainline trainers, using his iconic skateboard and Q-pole to do crazy maneuvers with himself and his Pokemon. Still just a personal theory, and obviously there's a female variant of the trainer this time around, but still, the signs for these trainers being from Johto just keeps coming. Anyways, here we get to see another angle for dining with our Pokemon. This lends more credence towards my theory we can enter cafes and choose a Pokemon, or maybe even several, to dine with. I do think these scenes we keep seeing are cutscenes that play when we do this. Likely an endless cutscene showing all sorts of angles until we, the player, press to end it. Now, in this shot, we see a construction spot much like the one we saw Patrat in from a previous trailer. I'm kinda disappointed by this because I thought that scene from the last one was hinting towards an entire location under construction, but alas, it seems they'll just be portions of existing areas that have construction on them. We now know that the Monkey Trio are returning in ZA. This officially marks every single Pokemon to ever exist so far being obtainable in one Switch Pokemon game or another. In this scene here with Slowpoke, it's easy to miss because of how good the water and textures look here, but if you dig deeper into this shot, you can see in the background what looks like a possible entrance to the Lumio sewer system. Many players have been speculating on a sewer area, or at least the catacombs to be trekkable within ZA, and this gives further hope towards those speculation. And yeah, there's a grate there, but it's hard to tell just how deep inside of the hole the grate is, and if the grate might be removable later on in the game. speaking of cool locations, this new scene with Patrat, Ekans, and Spinnerack seems to take place in a cemetery. This might end up being one of my favorite spots to frequent in the city. Also, similarly to Gyarados in the previous trailer, Patrat looks like he's reacting to Ekans slithering right past him. It's still hard to tell how much of this is just cherry-picked by the developers to make it look like this is happening, or if Pokemon actually will react to each other in the overworld. Time will tell. Anyways, we finally have confirmation that Pokemon can attack you. However, don't get too excited, we still don't know if the player has their own dedicated health bar. Matter of fact, I actually think the way this works will be different from Legends Arceus. I don't think we're gonna have a health bar. What I'm thinking is if this Krokorot had landed his bite on us, it wouldn't have damaged our player. Instead, I believe it'll be more like what we see later in this trailer, how one party can catch the other in a disadvantaged state. If we get hit by an attack like this bite, I think it will spark a battle and we will be in disadvantage, meaning our Pokemon will be stunned and the enemy gets the first hit or two in on us. It's definitely different from Legends Arceus, but this is a completely different game and we just gotta get used to that. And so long as simply touching wild Pokemon doesn't spark a battle in this game, I'm happy with this in its own way. Next, we get to see a shot of Steelix, and the first thing you might notice is that he actually has a metal texture to him. Thank goodness. With how every Pokemon we've seen so far in ZA has been textureless, I'm glad certain textures will still be visible to give the Pokemon that need them the presence they deserve on screen. And speaking of screen presence, now's a good time as ever to discuss the size scaling of Pokemon. Okay, we're 2 gameplay trailers in at this point, so it's safe to say that what we see is what we're getting. Something I've noticed in this trailer is that, thankfully, large Pokemon are at least portrayed to be larger than the humans inhabiting the world. This is better than what Sword and Shield did, where they were all shrunken down to be the same size as the 10-year-old trainer. That being said, they're still not quite as big as they can be, but you know what? I'll let it slide here. Especially if they add a bit of dialogue in the game, making it clear that within the city limits, only Pokemon below a certain size are allowed in. This would actually be similar to real-life cities, where we have our own rules for what kind of pets residents are allowed to have, simply because if they ever accidentally got loose and were thrust upon the city, all hell would break loose. It's also worth noting, now that we have 2 gameplay trailers, that we can see with certainty that size variants are not a thing in ZA. Every trailer so far has shown every Pokemon of the same species to be exactly the same size when side by side. It's a shame, to be sure, since this added a level of immersion for players to see wild Pokemon come in all shapes and sizes per species, but it's likely to keep the battle dynamics consistent with the new battle system in ZA. I'm fine with it, especially knowing that this game might simply just be an exception for these sizing features to not be included, and the reasoning is at least semi-sound. I'm just happy Pokemon like Salamence, Mega Gyarados, and Steelix are big enough to at least have some semblance of screen presence as the larger Pokemon that they are, even if they aren't as large as variants from other parts of the Pokemon world can be. I have to make up that logic for myself so far. Again, I'm hoping that they put that logic in-game, but yeah. Either way, this brings us to why the game is called Z to A. As far as I know, nobody predicted this, but if you did, please comment below so we all know how well your brain works. But the term Z to A is in reference to how we'll be ranking up in this game. We start at Z, and we go up to A in trainer ranking. We can even see our progress meter in the upper right corner of the screen. Line of sight returns for trainer battles this time around too. NPCs are as aggressive as they were in the 2D games of old, so be careful when out at night in Lumiose. Something odd I noticed about battles is the behavior of the command reticle. It goes different places in different footage. Some show it touching our Pokemon, others show it touching the enemy Pokemon, and some even show it going in between the Pokemon during the clips. Perhaps there's a way to control where our Pokemon go exactly with their moves? Or different individual moves have this reticle go to certain spots automatically. We'll have to learn more to find out about this exactly, but that's my take off of this so far. Gengar's portrait icon is wild. Mans is truly a freak in the sheets. The trainer portrait names our female protagonist Harmony. Is this her official name for the game? Time will tell, And if she is from Johto, then this will be the third variant of the female Johto trainer so far, behind Crystal and Lyra. Or perhaps it's an alternate timeline counterpart. I don't know, who knows? We're gonna find out sooner or later. Okay, this taxi driving NPC is truly the main villain. He wants to abolish every transit option except taxis? What in the corporate greed is this? We must not let him win at all costs. Okay, but seriously, the most curious thing about him is this Boltund jacket. Are Yamper and Boltund going to be in this game? I don't think we've ever seen Pokemon on the clothes of NPCs that weren't in the games, so feel free to correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, but that would be really cool if this Gen 6 game adds some Gen 8 Pokemon. It's worth pointing out too that the website for ZA reveals that when we rank up enough in our letter grade, we have to win a promotional match to get our next letter, all the way until we get from Z to A. So it's not just as simple as racking up points, we're gonna have essentially boss battles too. At the end of the trailer, the narrator claims other mysteries await as we progress through ZA. And while she says that, a scene plays of our trailer facing something that seems to be transforming or powering up in front of him. This is likely a story beat or another feature in the game that we aren't supposed to know about yet. Or some kind of mix of both. There were a lot of things we didn't know about going into Legends Arceus, so this is very exciting to think about, and you should let us know what you think is going on here in this scene in the comment section. Matter of fact, tell us anything you noticed in the trailer that I didn't mention here. We'd all love to hear it and discuss together. Afterwards, check out more of my videos like this one here where I deep dive into what, so far, seems to make a Legends game within Pokemon. The link is also in the pinned comment. If you'd like to support me and have your name featured at the end of all of my videos too, then join the Patreon link in front of you or in the description. Or you can become a channel member right here on YouTube. Regardless of what you do next, I've been johtojonny, and I will catch you all there.